Welcome to the Profit Share Mastery Podcast with your hosts, Linda and Pres McKissack.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Profit Share Mastery Podcast. I'm Pres McKissack.
And I'm Linda McKissack.
Hey, Linda. How are you? we have a guest today.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So, Aaron, we're happy to have you. You're our icon of Profit Share also. So, kind of tell us, I know a little bit about your story because you and I have been on task force and stuff together. And you've certainly been to our region to teach your Profit Share course and stuff, but kind of give the audience a little bit of you were born and then what happened.
Okay, so born to two PhDs, and I was actually my brother has a PhD as well. So I was the entrepreneur of the family, and in my mid-30s, I was the entrepreneur with potential with no money. And so I was always looking for something to, I was a natural born salesperson that never really had a lot of success in selling. And, I think what was missing in my life was I never found anything that I believed in or I was passionate about. That was my personal story. And so that's what brought me into real estate, Linda, was that, hey, in this industry, you're the product, right? As an agent. And if you're committed to being a great agent, there should be a sense of being genuine in what you're selling. I mean, Linda, when buyers and sellers would be lucky to work with you and your team, that's a powerful feeling. And so that's what brought me into real estate, was this idea that I'm the product. And, look, coming out of licensing school, I didn't know anything about real estate companies because they don't teach you anything about that or how to be successful. And so joined a local dependent boutique company in Atlanta, who was then bought by Coldwell Banker. And I became a Coldwell Banker agent, sold full time for a couple of years. And then fortunately, I did a deal with a Keller Williams agent who gave me an MREA book as a closing gift. And when I started to read that book, I started to realize, oh my God, I'm not in the real estate business. I'm in the lead generation business. And, I want to be a business owner. So why am I at this dependent company that doesn't teach me how to become a business owner? And in many ways wants to proactively keep me in that dependent box. And so, fortunately, that relationship, as I know you're big on, Linda, got me in front of a team leader. Once I saw how everything actually worked, it was a no-brainer. Look, I loved everybody I worked with at Coldwell Banker, but why would I stay there when I can get better training, better support, do more business, net more money? Now, I'll be very clear with everybody on this call. When I joined KW, I literally stopped the team leader in her presentation. I said, I don't want to know how Profit Share works. I don't want to hear about it again. Leave me alone. Let me do my own thing. And I think, look, I had heard all the things about KW. I had my preconceived notions of what Profit Share was. And the real truth was this: I wasn't going to ever be serious about it until I believed in Keller Williams as an agent first. And so I had to experience Keller Williams as an agent. And, I was very lucky, guys. I joined an office in Atlanta, which is in the #1 region of Keller Williams for the last 15 years, run by a guy named Sean Rawls, who happens to, at that time own a bunch of offices in Atlanta. The Peachtree Road office is the one that I joined, which is a perennial top 10 market center. That's not a coincidence, by the way, that one of the top evangelists for this company comes out of the #1 region in a top 10 company, top 10 office in our company. I had to have a high level experience. And so for the first 2 years at KW, didn't even think about recruiting, just enjoying my experiences at KW. And then I had a chance to go to Family Reunion in 2005, which was my first time that I got to see Gary Keller speak in person. And guys, I'll just tell you, I was there. It was Dave Jenks, Gary Keller on stage talking about where we were. By the way, back then in 2005, we were ranked 5th in the US, had 32,000 agents. Today, we're #1 in every category, 185,000 agents, right? So Gary's up there talking about where we're going, what's happening. And then he said two things that really stuck with me. He said, the #1 income producing activity that a KW associate can participate in is attracting other agents to KW. And he's a pretty smart guy. So that kind of caught my attention. And then he also said, many of the leaders of this industry 5 years from now are not in the business yet. And so, guys, I came back from Family Reunion. All these things were swirling around in my head. And I'm just telling you, here's the story, okay? I had what I call my immaculate conception. And for a non-religious Jewish boy, this is about as close as I've gotten to a religious experience so far, okay? But here's what happened. I said, this is it. This is the product that I've been looking for my entire life. And I want to be very clear with everybody on this call. I was a good agent. I was a capping agent. But in that moment, I believe more in Keller Williams as a product and as a wealth building opportunity than I ever did as myself as a real estate agent. And guys, that's the last day I sold a house. And there's a name of a book a title of a book I'm never going to write. And I'm joking when I say that, because when you hear the title of it, you'll understand that comment. But the name of that book is called All or Nothing, the ADHDer's Guide to the Universe. All right. And so the day that I decided to make profit share my one thing was the last day I sold a house. I'm going all in. I decided I'm going all in. Failure is not an option. And so it was interesting, guys. There was a great agent in my office I had a great relationship with, who was a big internet lead generator for real estate. And we always mastermind. I said, dude, I'm going to do what you're doing, except I'm going to do it for recruiting, and I'm going to go after new agents. And so I launched a website, and I'm a big believer in the great quote, it's always easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. I think if I had gone to Kay Evans and Bob Kalinsky or Mo Anderson and said, hey, I got this great idea, I want to launch a recruiting website, I don't know what they would have said. Maybe they would have said no. So instead of hearing no, I went to Sean Rawls. I said, Sean, I want you to be my sounding board. So when Mama Mo finds out what I'm doing, she's not going to be mad at me. All right. So guys, I launched this website. I want to be very clear. There was a real sense of urgency for me. Like, okay, this is my lottery ticket moment. I'm the first person in the history of Keller Williams to do this. Somebody's going to come along with more money like the McKissacks and blow me out of the water, or somebody's going to tell me to stop. I don't know how long I can do this for. And so that sense of urgency led me to start throwing money at internet lead gen. And I want to give a shout out to the Dr. Kaufmans, plural. I was a good agent. I was successful, but I wasn't a mega agent. I didn't have a bunch of money sitting on the sidelines getting ready to invest in this. So my parents were big supporters of me emotionally and in some ways financially. And I always told my dad, I went to Emory University here in Atlanta where he was a professor at, and I got free tuition for those 4 years. So, I had to squeeze him a little bit for my college education he didn't have to pay for. But not everybody has a sponsor like Pres McKissack or a sponsor like Aaron Kaufman that could invest in your profit share business that, by the way, you're launching with zero income. Okay. And to get profit share to a point where you can live off of it, let alone pay your bills or whatever, or your marketing bills, that's a whole nother conversation. So guys, I was all in. I didn't really think it out. I just knew this is the moment. This is the company. Gary Keller's the guy. I'm going to look back in 30, 40 years and say, thank God that I did this. And so I just went all in and I started throwing money. And, I was watching some of your calls, Pres, and, I think people need to understand, websites don't do anything unless you spend money. Okay. And so there are two kinds of people in KW. You either look at that money you're spending on, drive traffic to your website as an expense or an investment. I look at it as an investment. Mm-hmm. And so I will just tell you, I started spending $3,000 to $4,000 a month on monster.com, Career Builder. And I'll be the first person to tell you I was not following the MREA book, red light, green light, when it came to spending money. I was like, oh, you give me a credit card, green light. All right. But once again, that's how much I believed in this. I was all in. So I opened my inbox one morning, 50 leads in my inbox from people all around the company and all around the country, because I was running ads in every city. Right. And so I had my big, oh my God moment. And my oh my God moment was, oh my God, what do I say to these people? No one's ever told me what to say. All I've ever heard is just say you love Keller Williams. Can you have a team leader call you? So not the most compelling conversation in the world with internet leads you don't have a relationship with. So guys, what I started doing is I just started jumping on the phones. I was doing literally 5 to 7 hour phone calls a day, 7 days a week for almost 3.5 years straight. And, I really adopted a couple of mindsets before I started. First mindset I adopted was that of a real estate agent. It's not your job as a real estate agent to tell your clients what to do. It's not. No, it's your job to educate them so that they can make the most educated decision for themselves. So first mindset was, I'm going to have a conversation with these people that I wish somebody had had with me. And guys, I tether myself to the process, not the results, meaning I get fulfillment out of having that conversation. I get fulfillment out of helping people. Don't you wish somebody had handed you an MREA book when you got out of real estate school? Right? Don't you wish somebody had told you how real estate companies were different? So the cool thing about that mindset is that I win every time. I don't care if you join KW. I mean, I care. I care if I get the sponsorship, obviously, but I get fulfillment out of helping people. And when you have that mindset, that is sustainable over time. If you're driven by your next check, okay, that is not sustainable over time. And you will give up before you see results. So first mindset was really that of a real estate agent. I'm here to help these people. If they join, if they think KW is a fit for them, that's great. If they don't, they're going to get off this phone call thanking me for the information I've given them. Second mindset was this. I have two customers, the recruit and the leadership team of the market center I'm referring them to. At the end of the day, I want both of these customers to think I value what's best for them than what's best for me. And one of the reasons that me and Brent Mitchell and everybody else that I work with are successful is that we have credibility with leadership teams. And Pres, you know, man, as an owner, as a internet recruiter, not everybody's doing it the right way. Not everybody thinks that way, right? So we always are making sure that we're seen as a source of quality, ongoing referrals, because the more that they see us as that, the more they're going to support us, the better they're going to communicate with us, and the more we can separate ourselves from all the people that are doing it the wrong way. All right. And so, guys, I sponsored my first agent to KW, April of 2005. By the end of 2005, I had sponsored about 135 people to Keller Williams all around the company. 2006, I sponsored another 100 plus. And then I know you remember what happened in 2007, right? And 2008. Now, guys, I'm not saying the shift was a conspiracy against me, but just imagine for a moment, okay, coming up with this lottery ticket moment. Imagine if Nick put in all the time and all the money that he put into, but he started in 04, 05. Mm-hmm. So when the market hit the fan, right? Because I was building this with brand new agents, predominantly brand new agents off the internet. And guys, people need to understand, experienced agents, okay, mega agents, Linda, they ain't clicking on an Indeed ad to join Keller Williams, okay? They have a relationship with someone at KW like you, right? So the internet's the low-hanging fruit, all right? But the quality's in the quantity, just so we all know. So anyways, sponsored 400 agents to KW directly in that 4 or 5 year window. But when the market shifted, they started dropping like flies, okay? And I'll just tell you right now, I've sponsored 400 agents to KW. I have 30 active agents left on my first level. Sponsored 400, I have 30 left. Now, how many people do you know who got their real estate license 16 years ago and are still in the business? Okay. So I'll take it. Okay. I'll take it. Okay. So, but here's the interesting thing, guys, is that, and I want to be a little vulnerable for you guys, because I want your listeners to understand that this has been quite a journey on many levels. And so it's not just like you can just flip a switch and all of a sudden create a life by design through profit share. Okay. I've been through a lot. Okay. Now the good news is that that's behind me. Okay. And what the future looks bright. But guys, I walked across the stage at Family Reunion in 2006 and 2007. I won the Growth Partner of the Year award for this entire company. People were chanting my name. I shook Gary Keller's hand 2 years in a row. In 2008, I was strapping an apron on. I had to get a second job. Okay. I shut my real estate business. I'm not saying I did it right. I did everything the right way. I'm just telling you, I went all in, put all this money into profit share. Shift happened. Okay. I'm all in. I need some money, immediate money that I can just tap right into. I can't just like crank up my real estate business like that. So I started waiting tables, right? Guys, I was waiting tables 5-6 nights a week, 2 lunches a week, brunch on Sunday. I was taking my tip money, paying off my monster bills, and I was recruiting when I wasn't waiting tables. Now, the cool thing about my story is I met my wife at that restaurant. My wife is a professional photographer here in Atlanta. She had to get a second job. We met in that restaurant. We got married in that restaurant. And she didn't love me for how much money I had because I was broke. And so to meet my wife at that point in my life has made it so much sweeter, guys, because she gets to enjoy this journey with me, right? And so here's the big picture, and I'm almost done with the Aaron Kaufman story. I never wanted to give up on the big prize, which was to build a true life by design through profit share. Now, I will tell you guys, I got burned out in that 3.5, 4 year window for many reasons that I'll save you from, okay? But I never wanted to give up on the big prize. So I started leveraging some of my recruits, and I started generating leads, and I started giving them some of the leads, the lower 80% of the leads. And then I started, I was focusing on the 20%. And then a guy named Brent Mitchell, who I sponsored at KW, was working some of my leads. He's like, Aaron, first of all, I'm sick of getting all your crappy leads. And second of all, I think I can do this better than you. And I said, okay, show me. And so guess what Brent Mitchell did? He went out there and he did it better than me. And, it's all about the who. I mean, look, I always, when I met with Gary 2.5 years ago, I walked in there, I said, you created me, right? You told me to treat profit share like a business. You told me to recruit outside of my market. You wrote this book called the MREA book. You told me to leverage, right? And also, anyways, Brent Mitchell, as we all know, he went out there and did it, I don't know, 10 times better than me. Who knows how many times better than me he's going to do it when it's all said and done.
That's because he keeps doing it.
No, and I just tell you guys, like, Brent Mitchell's persistence and his resilience. I mean, this guy's been supporting his family 100% off of profit share, okay, for 14 years, 13 years, right? So like his ability to just be persistent and I'm in awe of him when it comes to that, okay? But the cool thing is, guys, for the last decade, I haven't been working any leads. I've been giving all of my leads to my recruits. Now, the analogy that I'm going to make is someone like a Cody Gibson, right? Cody's, and at least my understanding of Cody Gibson's expansion model is that he's willing to give up a lot more to each expansion partner to have a lot more, successful expansion partnerships. Is why he's in, I don't know, 60 different states and countries. But so that's always been my mindset, was that, look, I'm willing to give up this immediate money. Like every lead I give Brent Mitchell that he converts, I would have made 5 times more money off of it. Mm-hmm. Everybody that Brent Mitchell has recruits that work are his leads and my leads. Every lead that they convert that was my lead, I would have made 10 times more money if I had sponsored them. But the cool things, guys, is this: they're doing all the work for me. And for the last decade, I've been rebuilding my profit share tree through my recruits. And so even though I have 30 active agents on my first level, now I got almost 500 on my second. I got over 500 on my third. I have about 1,400 people in my tree right now, of which 95% of them are on my top 3 levels or 4 levels. And Linda, your profit share reports and my profit share dream board, I mean, I stand on the shoulders of giants. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for people like you and Althea Osborne and Mike Brody paving the way. But I look at your numbers. Mm-hmm. I see what percentage of your profit share you make off your lower levels. I see how, if you build it wide, time will take it deep. And so my parting shot back to you guys is this: there's no column on the profit share return on investment spreadsheet for faith. You either believe or you don't. Either you believe we're a company of destiny or you don't. Either you believe that every recruit is a lottery ticket or you don't. If you try to calculate your return on investment for profit share, just let me give you a heads up, you can't do it. You'll never be able to calculate it. Linda, you're going to make money in profit share long after you've passed away. Yeah. Are you going to come back from the grave and calculate your return on investment from the ripple that it's going to have through generations of your family? So the bottom line is, you got to have faith. You got to believe, because, and that's what gives us what we call our unfair share, is that real estate agents are immediate gratification based. They give up before they see results. And there's a new quote from Gary Keller that's my new motto: my persistence disguises my stupidity. And I'm not the best recruiter at KW. I'm not even the best recruiter on this call by a long shot, but I am one of the most persistent and the most consistent. And that's how I'm going to build a life by design through profit share and create a legacy that will ripple for many, many, many years past my death. And that's my story.
I love it. I'd never really heard all of your story. That's a great story. And something that jumps out at me, you said something about no income. You actually burnt the boat that was going to be your income. You just set it on fire and set it out there.
I did. And if it wasn't for my parents, I never would have been able to do that. And so I don't want to not acknowledge that, because not everybody has that kind of privilege, to in their early 30s to figure out what they want to do when they grow up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What they do have the ability to do is figure out a way to do it. Whether like you bust tables, right, or whatever you did, was a waiter.
Yeah.
And probably a very low amount of money per hour.
Exactly.
To be able to pay for that. And most people, I hear them complain because a few people dropped out of their profit share tree. And I say, stop looking at that. Stop focusing on that. And you were so committed that you went out and got another job.
Yeah. I mean, Linda, I've easily invested over $300,000 in an internet lead gen. Mm-hmm. And one of these days, Pres and I are going to have to talk how you're pulling this off with Nick Avila for $500 a month. I want to dive into those numbers with you a little bit, but I would say though that, so I mean, look, that's the thing about being all in, Linda. You're all in.
Yeah.
You're all in when you lose a sponsorship. You're all in when someone you sponsor to KW leaves. You're all in when your profit share check in January 2008 is $82. Okay. And your marketing bills are $3,000. Okay. Right. So I'm just saying, look, my model, Brent's model, Nick's model, it's not for everybody. And, but what people need to understand is you're going to bust your butt for 15, 20 years to build this real estate business of yours, right? How many of the people in our company can walk away from their real estate business, Linda, and pencil in 6 to 7 figures a year the rest of their lives and beyond? Mm-hmm. So, either I'm the smartest guy in the world or I'm the biggest idiot. I don't know which one yet. Hopefully time will tell. And I've trademarked a new term. I tell people, Linda, I say, when my profit share tree goes McKissack, right? But look, things happen gradually, then suddenly, right, Linda? And I've looked at your yearly profit share earnings from the back. It was like flat, 78,000, then 150, 280, 500, right? So I feel like I'm right at that tipping point. My tree grew by 37 people last month. I didn't sponsor anybody to Keller Williams. I just kind of feel like success is an inevitability. And when you have that feeling in your business, when you know your numbers and you just know that the only thing that is missing is time. And I'm a huge Shawshank Redemption guy. That's my favorite movie. But my favorite quote from that, obviously, is when Red says, geology is just the study of pressure and time. That's all it takes, pressure and time. And that's kind of how I look at profit share. It's just a matter of time and pressure before I have everything I want from profit share.
So what do you think you saw in it that made you do something so drastic as to give up your income stream?
Yeah. I mean, Linda, I'll be honest with you. It was Gary Keller. I always, I'm a big Simon Sinek guy. Start with why. Well, at KW, our why starts with the who and his why. And I'm just telling you, I mean, look, how can you quantify Gary Keller's impact on your life? I mean, could you even possibly, right? So I'm just telling you, I wasn't even anywhere I was one of, 5,000 people in that room that day, but it was so clear to me that this is the guy, this is the company. And yeah, I like the idea of working with making money without working with buyers and sellers too. So it just became, and look, you mix in a little bit of desperation. And let's be clear here. That's one of the reasons I told you my story, right? I mean, Nick is how old is Nick? He's 20 in his 20s.
Nick will be 30 this year in October.
Okay. I mean, I was reinventing myself at 33. I was waiting tables at 35. Right. So like I was a late bloomer. So there was a real sense of desperation. And when you're in your mid 30s and you're an entrepreneur with potential, yeah, that's not a good place to be. All right. So so this was it. Like this was going to be the moment, the vessel by which not only did I achieve my life by design, but that I made up for being a sociology major with a 2.0 GPA who kind of screwed around for a decade in sales without taking it really seriously, And so it was just clarity, Linda. Would you rather the great thing about my journey is that I knew KW was going to be the #1 real estate company 15 years ago. Okay. And I saw that path. And so for me, I'm not shocked that we are where we are today. And just a heads up for everybody that's on this call, I actually think we're standing on the brink of what will be the biggest growth spurt in the history of Keller Williams right now. So there's this big myth, Linda, that the best opportunity to build wealth through KW profit share was 30 years ago. And I could not disagree more with you with that. I mean, right now is the best time in the history of Keller Williams to do this. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I can show you, Nick's profit share and prove that is not true.
Oh,
Nick's building his profit share 10 times as fast as Linda built hers.
Oh yeah. And by the way, guys, you talk about the whole dependent model and how we're going to be the preferred real estate company for dependent agents. The line in the sand for me used to be, because, there's a great line from Gary Keller who says, he says, interdependence, which is Keller Williams, right? There's 3 kinds of real estate companies, essentially: dependent, independent, interdependent, right? We emerged from this industry as the only true agent-centric interdependent company, correct? Okay. Remax's was more independent, 100%, Caldwell Banker, more dependent. So anyways, Gary has a great quote where he says, interdependence is only a decision independent agents can make. Okay. Now, so the line in the sand for me going back to, hey, the market center leadership team is my customer too, is that if a recruit I'm talking to back in the day wasn't ready to be independent, i.e. generate their own leads, they're probably not ready to be interdependent, okay? Now, we're going to be the preferred real estate company for dependent agents. So the people who are listening today need to understand we're about to cast a much wider net. And not only are we going to cast a wider net because 80% of our industry is dependent, they're going to go immediately into production and start generating profit share for you versus maybe selling one house in their first 6 months and dropping out of the business. Okay. So that's kind of why we're doubling down now, Pres. Not only that, but the changing investing periods and the compression of, if people leave before 7 years, now's even a better time if you understand what I just said. But I just think the fact that KW is casting a wider net and the moment we're in and what we're about to do to this industry once we go public, I don't know. I just feel like this is a better opportunity than it was 15 years ago.
Not to mention profit share being up pretty massively year over year. Right.
And not to mention how much room for improvement there is just within our own company, which I'm sure Linda is sick of hearing me saying, but it's the truth. And and honestly, that's I think the next wave of growth is coming from within. If all we did was turn our non-cappers into half cappers and our half cappers into cappers, we would all be retired by now,
So Aaron, what do you want to leave? Because I love the part of your story where you said you're sitting in the room with Gary Keller.
Yeah.
And he convicted you that day. He shared with you your path forward. And I believe we could have some listeners today who might be at that moment. So what do you want to leave our audience with in KW around profit share?
I mean, look, I tell people to do 3 things. Okay. I'll say 4 things. Read the MREA book if you haven't read it. Okay. Because you can't be valid, Linda, if you haven't read the MREA book, and you don't need to be $1 million producer to know how they do business. Okay. But be valid. If you're not a top agent or you're not doing a lot of deals, know how they do business. Okay. You got to listen to Gary Keller's podcast. Think like a CEO, right? He will literally take you from why he got into real estate, how his why shaped who we are as a company, how his why is going to shape who we are moving forward. I just think that's a little bit of inspiration. And it's also a little bit of empowerment to understand. And Linda, I know you're not, you have a different perspective on this, which is what I love about profit share. But, if somebody can understand Gary Keller and what drives him, it's not going to hurt their excitement to share this company. I would also say, joining the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group, which, James Shaw was running during the pandemic. That's a great opportunity to not only, connect with people within KW, but to showcase our interdependent value proposition to agents and other companies in a non-aggressive way, providing value, right? And then I think the Profit Share Mastermind group, I know sometimes it goes a little sideways in there, but that's what makes it great. It's called Profit Share Mastermind KW. I think if everybody in this call has read the MREA book, the Shift book, has listened to Gary Keller's podcast, is in that Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group, in the Profit Share Mastermind group, I don't think there's a lot of conversations you can't have. Now, whether or not you decide to have those conversations, that's up to you. But when your why is big enough, the how is the easy part. And Pres, now that you're all into, you see what Nick's doing, this is not very hard, what we do. Now, it's about persistent, consistent effort, systems, right? 80-20 rule, following up, right? So I think the key to profit share is this. You got to be honest with yourself and say, what kind of lead generation source is a fit for my personality, but more importantly, sustainable over time, right? So there are many different ways to build your profit share. Yeah, I wish I had sponsored 400 mega agents to KW. Sure, I do, but that's just not me. And now that's a limiting belief. But the point is, back then, I found something that fit me. And that's where the success came from, is that it fit into my life and was sustainable over time. And, the cool thing about KW is you can never predict who somebody might become and who they might attract to KW. Brent Mitchell looked like every other crappy Craigslist lead I got 15 years ago. Okay. So did Josh Anderson out of Nashville, Tennessee. You know Josh Anderson out of Nashville, Tennessee, Linda? Yeah. You know that name?
He's sharp.
Yeah. Guess what? I sponsored him off a Craigslist ad 15 years ago. He's now one of our top 100 agents. Liz Landry out of from MAPS Coaching.
Yeah.
Same deal. Okay. I'm just saying, Many of the leaders of this industry 5 years from now are not in the business yet. And I guarantee you some of them are in your database right now. So don't be a secret agent. Don't be a secret attractor to KW. And, if you need any proof of that, just know this. I've captured over 3,000 recruiting leads on my website since 2005 that said that they knew someone at KW or had a family member at our company. I found out who they knew, and I sent that lead directly back to that KW associate, giving them a chance to recruit them. Now, what you should be thinking is that not only is that an amazing story about Aaron Kaufman and who he is as a person, you should be asking yourself, why are 3,000 people who have a relationship with someone at KW filling out my contact form? And because you're not having the conversation with them. Because if you were, they never would have filled out my contact form. So just remember, guys, profit share is the lead generation business. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. And whoever generates the lead, as Gary Keller says, controls the business.
Yeah.
So don't be a secret attractor.
Love it. Great conversation, Aaron. Any final thoughts or questions you would ask?
Well, what I was gonna.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say, Aaron, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about the KW effect and how you can, I know you go around and partner with market centers, and you are one of the best KW profit share evangelists. And I think the more people can plug into you and how you help people think different, the better it's going to be for everyone.
It was interesting, guys. It's exciting. I just came up with my 10-year anniversary of teaching my class outside of Atlanta, right? And there's a great saying about Keller Williams. It's not just about what you get, it's about who you become. So put a pin in that. Never would have imagined that I would have been able to develop a class that I could teach 10 years in this company and make a great living off of, and then have profit share sitting on the sidelines. But basically, guys, I'm the guy, I see a need in this company. I always have. We don't do a good enough job telling our story to our own agents. And there's too many people in this company that don't understand the profit share opportunity. And when people say to me, thank you for all you do for growing this company, and I'm sure they tell you guys that the same thing, my response these days is, I'm just taking ownership of this real estate company I have a huge financial stake in. And I just need more of you guys to think the same way. And so, Pres, I've been teaching the KW effect for over a decade. The bottom line is, if you get me in front of your agents, your team leader and leadership team will have more warmed up appointments than they've ever had. So I think it's a pretty good return on investment. You get me there. If all I do is help your market center sponsor, a couple agents, I have a feeling the investment will pay itself off many times over. And I would love nothing more than to come to your office in person or virtually and disrupt it, because sometimes you got to disrupt your own company. And that's what my job is to disrupt our own company and make sure that everybody in this company understands the opportunity they have at Keller Williams. Whether they decide to take advantage of it, that's up to them. So anyways, reach out to me on Facebook, send me smoke signals. I get it all. All right. But Linda, let me just take this opportunity to thank you and Jimmy and Pres just for paving the way. I mean, we have, people are always like, wow, you guys taught Nick everything you knew. Great. I hope he does it bigger than Brent Mitchell does. I really do, because he's growing my company too, right? And this is not competition, right? We're in this together. And so every time I see Nick's numbers, I'm like, well, first of all, Brent's going to still beat you, Nick. So you better get back on the phones, because he had a month when he fell off the stairs off a ladder and he wasn't able to recruit. But he's fired up. He loves the competition. He's coming for you. But man, how much do I wish I was Nick Avila, right? I mean, think about the life that guy has in front of him, and how much you guys have made it so much easier for him to do this. I mean, there was nobody behind me funding my lead gen. And I have a feeling the investment you make in Nick is going to pay itself off 100 times over. So it's all about success through others. Everybody that's on this call, I'm vested in your success. If I don't have somebody in your downline if I don't have somebody in your market center in my downline today, someday I will. So I am vested financially in everybody's success, and I would love nothing more than to help everybody on this call go even bigger. All right. So
I love that, Aaron. And as usual, it's another example of building wealth while we change lives. So Aaron, the lives that you've changed, I'm thankful that that your life was changed and all the amazing people that you changed their lives. So my question to our audience today is, number one, if your life was changed, who are we to say that's enough lives changed? And then number two, have you given up on profit share too soon? Because you saw that Aaron did not give up on profit share.
Yeah, exactly.
Really hard. If you have an interest this year and you decided maybe Aaron's message is tugging on you like Gary's did on him, and you're ready to take this seriously and you'd like our guidance and help, either one, get Aaron, or do both, get Aaron out to your market center and join our Profit Share Mastery class that Pres and I run. It's an online course. You can join us once a month for conversations and questions to help you move that along. You can find out more about it at profitsharemastery.com. And this Profit Share podcast drops once a month on the 21st. So be sure and pass it along to any KW associate that could benefit from learning and getting inspired a little bit more from people like Aaron about building their profit share, building their wealth while changing other people's lives. So Aaron,
the parting shot is, it's not the question is not if, the question is who is going to get their unfair share, right? And when you get that and you realize that what you focus on expands, there are very few people in this company even thinking about it. The ones that are thinking about it are not purposeful about it. The ones that are purposeful about it give up before they see results. And if you really want to do this big, you got to believe, you got to be persistent, and you got to be driven by something more than your next check, right?
Yeah, love it.
100%.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Pres. I'll see you in a few days.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, guys. Take care.